In the heart of the Middle East, something surprising is happening in Israel. A language from across the sea is quietly spreading its voice. Tagalog, the language of the Philippines, is becoming Israel's unexpected second language, and behind this rise lies a story of hard work, sacrifice, friendship, and humanity. It is a story the world has barely heard, but one that deserves to be told. Because this is not just about words, it is about connection. Tagalog is being spoken in the streets of Tel Aviv, in hospitals, in markets, and even in the homes of Israeli families. And it is not being taught in schools or pushed by governments. It is growing naturally through people, through relationships, through lives, changed forever. It all began with the arrival of Filipino workers in Israel. Most of them came in the early 1990s, searching for better opportunities. Thousands of Filipinos traveled to the Holy Land to work as caregivers, domestic helpers, and nurses. They were leaving behind their families in the Philippines. But what they found in Israel was more than a job. They found a second home. Today, there are over 30,000 Filipinos living and working in Israel. Many of them, women caring for the elderly, the sick, and the disabled in Israeli homes, day and night. And through these years of care, Tagalog began to blend into the Israeli way of life. Imagine an old Israeli grandmother who cannot walk, being helped every day by a Filipino caregiver who speaks gently in Tagalog. Words like, "Kain na, let's eat," or "Mahal kita," I love you, become part of daily conversation. And slowly these words stick children in the family. Hear Tagalog phrases every day and start repeating them. Parents pick up the meanings, and soon Tagalog becomes a natural part of the household. This is how language spreads, not through lessons, but through love, through care, through everyday life in Israel. You can walk through the streets of Jerusalem or Tel Aviv and hear Tagalog mixed with Hebrew in shops, restaurants, and buses. Israeli kids raised by Filipino nannies grow up speaking bits of Tagalog as naturally as they speak Hebrew. Many of them even call their caregivers nanay, or ate meaning mother or sister, because for them, these Filipino women are more than helpers. They are family. There are stories of children who spoke Tagalog before Hebrew, stories of Israeli soldiers calling their former caregivers to say, "Salamat po," thank you, even after many years, and stories of Israelis visiting the Philippines to see the families of the women who once cared for them. These moments have created a deep cultural bridge between two very different nations, and that bridge is built on the sound of Tagalog language experts in Israel have noticed how the Filipino community has influenced local speech. Many Israelis now use Filipino words casually in daily life. Words like kuha get or pasensya, sorry, are understood even by those who have never been to the Philippines. In Tel Aviv's Neve Sha'anan district, you can find Filipino restaurants, karaoke bars, and stores, selling dried mangoes and pancit noodles. There are Filipino festivals every year with music and food, and you'll see both Israelis and Filipinos celebrating together. But the story goes deeper than language. It is a story of emotion, of human bonds that go beyond borders. Israeli families trust their loved ones to Filipinos, not just because they are skilled, but because of their warmth, their compassion, their faith. The Filipino way of caring comes from the heart, and that love changes people. Many Israelis say that their view of life, of family, and of kindness has changed after living with a Filipino caregiver. They learn to smile more, to say salamat, and to see love in service. And that is how Tagalog becomes more than just a language. It becomes a symbol of humanity in the Holy Land. There are also Filipino children born in Israel who grow up speaking both Hebrew and Tagalog fluently. They sing Filipino songs and pray in both languages, but their status in Israel has not always been easy in 2010 there. Were fears of deportation for many of these families, but public protests and support from Israelis helped many of them stay. People who once called their caregivers family stood up for them in court, holding signs that said, "We are one family." That moment showed the deep bond between Filipinos and Israelis. a bond that words could not even describe. Over time, this relationship has only grown stronger. Filipino nurses and caregivers were on the front lines during the COVID-19 pandemic in Israel, working tirelessly to care for patients, even when the virus spread rapidly. Many stayed with their elderly employers rather than returning home, risking their own lives to protect others. Their bravery and loyalty touched the hearts of Israelis and made the Tagalog language a sound of comfort. During the darkest days, many Israelis began using Filipino words in appreciation and love, because those words carried warmth that no translation could match. And now Israeli media often features Filipino workers sharing their stories on television and online, and Israeli musicians have collaborated with Filipino singers performing songs that mix Hebrew and Tagalog lyrics together. The sound of two cultures uniting in music. One famous Israeli singer even recorded a Tagalog song called Dahil sa iyo, because of you, to honor the caregivers who became part of Israeli homes. Even government officials in Israel have praised the Filipino community, calling them the heart of compassion in their country today. In Israeli schools, some children learn Tagalog phrases from classmates and even teachers who grew up with Filipino nannies. Universities have conducted studies on how Tagalog is spreading naturally in Israeli society, not as a foreign language, but as a living part of the community. And the Philippines has recognized this connection too. Filipino officials often visit Israel and speak about the language of love that unites their people abroad. Tagalog now echoes in Israeli homes, in hospital corridors, and even in military bases where Filipino-Israeli children serve proudly in the defense forces, carrying two identities, two hearts, one language of home and another of hope. Many Filipinos say they feel safe in Israel. They are respected, valued, and seen as part of the family. And Israelis, in turn, see them not as outsiders, but as people who brought light into their homes. This connection goes beyond economics. It is emotional, spiritual, and cultural. When you look deeper, it mirrors the bond between two nations that share a love for faith and resilience. Both countries value family, both have histories of survival, and both know the meaning of sacrifice. It is no surprise that Tagalog has found a home in the Holy Land. One of the most touching parts of this story is that many Filipino caregivers teach prayers and songs in Tagalog to the elderly people they care for. Some old Israelis who never left their homes in years now sing Filipino songs like Bahay Kubo or Anak smiling and clapping as their caregivers laugh with them. These small moments are seeds of connection that grow into something powerful. Entire families have learned Filipino traditions from food to festivals. Many Israelis celebrate Christmas Filipino style, even if they are not Christian, just to honor the people who care for them. The food, the laughter, and the Tagalog words fill their homes with warmth. What started as a job became a bridge between hearts. Language is more than words. It carries identity, emotion, and memory. When an Israeli grandmother says salamat, she is not just saying thank you. She is remembering the kindness she received. When a child says kain na, he remembers being fed by someone who loved him like her own mother. When Tagalog is spoken in Israeli homes, it carries with it the stories of millions of Filipinos working far from home to give their families a better life. And those stories are changing. Israel from within. Even tourism between the two nations has grown. Many Israelis visit the Philippines because of their Filipino friends, and many Filipinos in Israel send money home proudly, knowing that their language is now part of another nation's daily life. In 2023, a popular Israeli TV series featured a Filipino caregiver as one of the main characters speaking both Hebrew and Tagalog, and the audience loved it. Viewers said it reflected real life, that the Filipino voice is now part of Israel's story, and so it is through every word, every song, every act of love and care. Tagalog is no longer just a foreign language in Israel. It is a living connection, a symbol of respect and gratitude between two peoples who found family across oceans. If you walk through the streets of Tel Aviv today, you might hear a child shout, "Tita, come here," or an elderly man whisper, "Salamat," as he holds his caregiver's hand. These are not random words. They are proof that cultures can blend without conflict, that love can cross language barriers, and that the simplest human connections can build bridges stronger than politics, stronger than distance, stronger than history. This is the untold Filipino story, a story of how one of the smallest nations on earth has left one of the biggest marks on the Holy Land without war, without wealth, but with kindness, patience, and language. The Philippines may be thousands of miles away from Israel, but its words now live in the hearts of thousands of Israelis. The sound of Tagalog is now the sound of care, of love, of home. It is proof that even in a world divided by borders, a language born from compassion can unite people in ways no one expected. And maybe one day when you visit Israel, you will hear it too. The sound of laughter mixed with Tagalog, the sound of home in a distant land. Because this is not just about a language, it is about humanity, the kind that speaks from the heart. And that is why Tagalog is becoming Israel's second language. Because it is not just spoken, it is felt every day, every word, every smile, every salamat.